All right. Everybody, this is Jason with the Tactical Reporter. I'm making this video today to go ahead and get some information out. If you see this picture behind me, this is offender Alfonso Lewis. Offender Lewis brutally assaulted Officer Lynch at Columbus Correctional this past Saturday, April 18th. Now we're going to dig into this offender, and I'm going to go ahead and make this clear from the beginning. This offender should have never been back at Columbus Correctional. I'm going to pull up his public disciplinary history, that if anybody in the public can go to the state's webpage and see his list of disciplinaries, and I'm going to explain to you a couple of those. But this offender here brutally assaulted and attempted to murder Officer Lynch at Columbus Correctional this past Saturday, April 18th, and he should have never been back at Columbus Correctional. This directly falls on the regional director's Stephen Jacobs' shoulders. He should have ensured from past experiences with this offender that he was marked with population management to never return to Columbus Correctional. So this falls on Stephen Jacobs' shoulders. And I know he's going to kick it back to the unit, should have sent something up, but somebody from his office should have ensured that this offender never returned to Columbus Correctional Institution. And sources are telling me that somebody in the regional director's office had told him this inmate was not suitable to be housed in this type of facility. Columbus Correctional is a dorm-style facility where inmates sleep on bunk beds, anywhere from 30 to 34 offenders in each wing. They're housed this way. So he should have never been back in this type of situation, this type of living environment. He should have been in a sealed facility. If we look at his disciplinary history, if you look at his disciplinary history here, you're going to see prior to the assault, his most recent disciplinary was a disobeying order. He's been charged with fighting, inhaling a substance. He was charged with an active writer on 6/4/2024. Now this is going to be important because he has another active writer charge that happened on August 26, 2020. Now, if I can only see what you see here, but if my records show are correct, this offender, this active writer charge happened at Columbus Correctional in Elm Dormitory, where we were preparing for COVID. We were having to move offenders out of certain wings. This offender and other offenders actively rioted and refused to move in a dorm. I was still at Columbus Correctional during this time myself. I was the PERT rifle team leader, the regional PERT commander, worked at Columbus Correctional at this time, and we had some other PERT officers. We had to go get less than lethal munitions, less than lethal shotgun to gain control of the dorm. So this offender should have never been allowed back, one, in this living environment, and two, should have never been allowed back at Columbus. If we go up to after 2020, you're going to see that he had a weapons possession in 2022. He was brought back to Columbus. Should have never been brought back then. All right, this is another reason he shouldn't have been brought back. He had a weapon possession. He was demoted and received street charges for this. If you look at his charges, he received time for this. But this type of offender who is pulling life, this stuff doesn't matter. So active writer, he don't care. Weapons possession, he don't care. And like I said, after the active writer in 2020, he received another active writer in 2024 at another facility. He should have never been placed back in this type of facility. This falls directly on population management, and the regional director's office, regional director Stephen Jacobs, should have to answer for why this offender was allowed back in dorm-style housing, and most importantly, why he was allowed back at Columbus Correctional. But what we're finding out, and we're going to be making a longer video as more details come out. I have sources that I have to protect on this day, but this offender that is pictured here, Alfonso Lewis, attempted to murder, not just assault, but attempted to murder Officer Lynch. He didn't use he used his hands and his feet to strike Officer Lynch multiple times, and sources are telling me that after striking him multiple times, that the offender here got Officer Lynch in a rear naked choke and was trying to choke him to death. Now, if it wouldn't have not been, this is not what the state's going to tell you, but sources close to this investigation have revealed, and if my sources are watching this, I know after Raleigh and the region sees it, they're going to tell y'all, don't be saying anything, don't be putting it out. But if the public is not aware, it's going to be swept under the rug. Sources close to the investigation are telling me that if it had not been for other offenders, Officer Lynch would have been dead. One, the facility was running short. They didn't have enough people on mandatory post. We need to go back. Investigation needs to be done. SBI, when you're looking into it, into this investigation on charging this offender, you need to be looking at whether the facility and the region and the department at a whole was at fault for this happening. You need to be looking at their duty rosters for that day, looking at their amount that is required to run the facility, how many was actually on a post. Why were the officers not able to get to Officer Lynch in time to help save him? Offenders had to save him, and sources closer are saying that if it wouldn't have been for the offender, staff couldn't have gotten the dorm. SBI, you need to be looking into this. NCDAC will try to sweep it under the rug. I guarantee you there will be no changes at the facility unless we push this out about this officer safety. The Raleigh people in Raleigh is going to want to blame it on the budget. Oh, we can't hire, we can't do this because of the budget. It may have something to do with it, but it's been like that for years. What is the excuse for all the years prior? I know we got a new secretary up there, Miss Desmukes. This is her first year working in corrections. We're starting her second year. But something has to happen. Somebody should have to answer for why officers are being left in the dorm by themselves, locked in the dorm by themselves with 100+ offenders, and staff can't get there to help them. And what staff can get there are having to run from other posts because you don't have a yard man like you should, you don't have wing officers like you should. So the state is responsible for what happened to Officer Lynch. The regional director should have to answer for it. Leadership should have to answer for it. Why people were not on post like they should be. Sources are also telling me that at Columbus Correctional at night shift, which should never happen, you're having one officer locked in the dorm by herself. Should never happen. Somebody has to answer for this. Are we going to have to see, Lord forbid, another Pasquotank or another Bertie before somebody decides to do something? This could have been that. This officer could have been dead today because people were not on post like they should be. Sources also tell me that the next day after this incident, you still didn't have enough people to fill mandatory posts. You just had an officer assaulted and an inmate tried to kill him. You come in the next day and you still don't have enough people. The regional director, Stephen Jacobs, should have been calling other facilities to make sure that there was enough staff there on post the next day. If not, activate a squad of PERT. Let them, they ain't necessarily got to work the dorms, but they can work yard officers' positions like that to where if they're needed, they can respond. No show of force. What you're telling your staff is that you can have an officer brutally beaten, almost killed, and you're not going to send them any more help. Something's got to give. And in this video, I want to end with this. Leadership, whether it was facility leadership, regional director, Stephen Jacobs at his leadership level or higher, sources are telling me that they told Officer Lynch, well, you ain't got to worry about coming back to work right now. That should be the last of your worries. Officer Lynch, if you see this, you shouldn't have to worry about going back to work, period. You should be medically retired. You should get a full pension for the time that you've put in. You shouldn't have to worry about setting foot back on there. And you should sue the state because it's their fault that they didn't have enough staff in there to help you when you needed help. If the state gets away with things like this right here, they're going to keep getting away with it. Look for a longer video, y'all, because I'm upset. I know Officer Lynch. I worked with him for years. Something's got to happen. It's time for officers to stand up.